What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cubinar. Today, we are going to be reviewing the TI-36X Pro scientific calculator made by the Texas Instruments, and which is, in my opinion, the best calculator on the market. So, we're going to be reviewing some of the pros and cons, like where it can be used, especially for students. So, let's get right into this thing. So, the first thing I will say is that the TI-36X Pro is extremely cost efficient, alright? Now, you can look at the price right on the screen, and it is way lower than some of those graphing calculators that you'll see on the internet. And even though the price is very low, it will still have some of the very similar capabilities, which we're going to test out in just a minute. Other than that, it is also legal and able to be used for the SAT and the AP exams. So, especially if you're a high school, college student, the TI-36X Pro is for you because you can use it in almost any exam. Alright, so let's get right into why it is so good. So the first thing, it has a very protective case. So, if you're taking it everywhere, this thing will not break as long as it's inside the case. But case aside, let's go over the actual functionalities of this calculator, because that's where really they start getting distinction. So we'll start with the general capabilities. So as you can see, it's pretty slim, as you can see, and it can do anything your normal scientific calculator can do. So I'm gonna skip over that. I'm gonna highlight on something called MathPrint, which is basically something that the TI-36X Pro has, which makes it look like instead of having your normal division sign like you have over here, you'll have that little slash. MathPrint is actually gonna make it really easy for you to really visualize those complex expressions. So let's say we have something like 5/9, and you can see that by using the fraction, it's actually making a fraction for us. And just that can make it so much easier to visualize all these different components that go into our expressions. So no matter how complicated it might be, it's still really easy. So yeah, as you can see, you can have a function 10 times bigger than this, and you'll still be able to visualize it pretty easily. And also the screen display is pretty good. Other than that, it also has sine, cosine, tangent. It'll have arc sine, arc cosine, arc tangent. You can use you can do derivatives, integrals. You have pi, e, I. You have variables, and we'll get into that a little bit more. Anything a normal calculator can do, and you can also switch some of the settings, like to switch degrees, radians. Let me want to turn math print off. You can definitely do that. So now let's get into the real stuff. And so one awesome capability, and there will be so many capabilities. This calculator is extremely powerful. However, you don't have to read a gigantic manual, because I'm going to be telling you about all the most important ones that you as a student might use. So the first one is NumSolve, and this is kind of similar to regressions on Desmos. So the way you can activate this is by clicking second, and then you will click sine. And as you can see, because we click second, we're actually going to go into NumSolve. And so that what that does is it's just going to tell you to enter an equation to solve. So just make one up. 3x plus 15 equals 45, right? Just completely random equation. And you can get much more complicated this. Just for the sake of an example, I'm showing this. So click enter, and you can just click enter, and then it's going to solve for x. And look, in seconds, it will tell you that x is equal to 10. And this is amazing, because you'll have these gigantic algebraic expressions. And what you can do is, it doesn't only have to be simple. You can also put quadratics in there. Anything that might be really complicated, you just do that, and just like that, it gives you your answer. So it's really good. So that's the first capability, which is you're just not number solve. Next one, which I think is really helpful in high school and college, is PolySolve, which is basically a polynomial solver. And so you see, it can solve polynomials and basically just find the roots or the solutions to just quadratic or cubic polynomials. For the sake of this video and time, I'm just going to go through quadratic polynomials. So I'm just going to click 1, and you're going to enter your values in for a. So let's just say my value is 1, maybe my b value is 10, and my c value is 25. So I'm going to click solve, and what's going to tell me is my first root, or x1, is -5, and my second root is also -5, which basically means that if you factor it, it's going to be x plus 5 squared. But I think that's really helpful, because especially in college and high school, you're going to have a lot of these gigantic polynomials, and a lot of them aren't going to factor very well. So whether you can factor them or you can use a quadratic equation, this is going to do everything for you. And but especially when you're a student, time is important, and this is going to save you a lot of it. So yeah, this is PolySolve. It's going to give you both the positive and negative roots. It's really good. The next feature I'd like to highlight is System Solve. And so again, it can solve 2x2 linear equation systems, or even 3x3 systems of equations. For the sake of time, I'm only going to go to do 2x2. So I can click 1, and is this going to tell me should the coefficient of x be? So let's say just 5, and plus or minus, I'll just keep it plus for simplicity. So 5x plus 3y, it's equal to 97, let's just say, and our second equation will be 37x plus 0.5y is equal to 36, and then we can solve, and it's going to give us x and y values. And like I said again, these x and y values are really easy. Since it's math print, it's awesome. You're not going to get some terrible repeating decimal. But now you're going to be saying, how can I actually use x and y? Well, guess what? I can just click clear, and let's say here, let's exit this place. Now let's say I want to use x and y, and I'll put them inside of an expression. So I'll do 8x plus 16y, and it's actually going to give me what 8x and 16y is. That is just awesome, friends. And if I want to convert that into decimal, just like that, I get exactly what the decimal is. So yeah, this button right here is going to save you a lot of time. I just think that this is amazing. Just having variables whenever you want them, it's awesome. Yeah. So that's it for System Solve. The next, and one of my favorites, especially when doing calculus, algebra 2, literally anything, is table function. And so what you can do is click just table, and it's going to take you to the screen. Now I'd actually just click 2 to edit the function, and then it's going to tell me to enter a function for x. So let's just say x is equal to, f of x is equal to 5x plus 16. Alright, just to say that. What it's going to tell me is, now it's going to make a table, and this kind of very similar to a graphing calculator without the fancy graphing interface. And so let's just say I want to start getting some table values from 0. I'll set my step to 1, so it's going to tell me what the f of x value is for x equals 1, x equals 2, x equals 3, etc. And I'll click calculate, and look at this. It's going to tell me a table. So when x equals 0, f of x equals 16. 1, 21, 2, 26. It's going to keep on going like this. If you're doing any kind of math, just mid-level, like algebra 2, pre-calculus, calculus, this is a savior. I'll tell you that much. And let's say I want to do something different. Instead of starting at this normal 0, I want to start at negative 10. And instead of going in increments of 1, I want to go in increments of 0.1. I can calculate, and now it's going to start me at negative 10, and it's going to give me negative 9.9, negative 9.8, etc. It's awesome. Now let's say that I don't really care about when it starts or where it steps. Instead, I want to just try out a bunch of different values for x and see what happens. But let's say one of those values is negative 25, another value is 400. How do I do that in the same screen? Well, I can just go down here and switch from auto to x equals. I can click calculate. It's going to give me a blank table. I'm going to put my value for x. Let's just say I want to find what f of x equals for x equals negative 25. Enter, and it gives me that. But now let's say if I want to go directly to 400, it's going to tell me for that. It's just awesome. Yeah. So that is the table function. And now we're going to go over one of my most, it's just super crazy how something this small and so cost effective and just cheap can do this. And that is the data and statistic regression functions. So I'm going to click second, and then I'm going to click data. I'm just going to click data. And it's going to give me x, y, and z, or just L1, L2, L3, just columns. So let's say I have some x values of 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, sorry, that was 7, 4, and 5. And then from there, I have some y values of, let's say, 100, 200, 300, 400, and 500. All right, from there, what I'm going to do is after doing all my plotting of points, I'm going to click second. I'm going to click data, which gives me the statistic and regression tab. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to go scroll down until I see linear regression, because I know that this function is going to be linear. I'm going to click that, and it's going to give me, so the x data is coming from L1, the y data is coming from L2, which we just filled out, and it's going to give me y equals ax plus b, or slope-intercept form sub. All right, so look at that. It's going to tell me my a value is 100, and my b value is 0, which basically means that y equals ax plus b, or just y equals 100x. And that was a really simple explanation, but it really becomes crazy because you're going to see you have linear regression. Let's say you have a quadratic, just some plots on a quadratic formula, right? So you can just plot those points in the data column and then do a quadratic regression, and it's going to give you the equation for the quadratic. Same thing for cubic regression. We'll have some linear, like logs, like natural logs regressions, power regressions, exponential regressions. It's insane. It's insane. And guys, this is only like a few of the handpicked awesome capabilities that I personally use on a daily basis. But there are so many. I mean, I think those I only got from just reading these. But I mean, I've been using this calculator for the past 4 years. It's been perfectly it's awesome. I don't have any complaints. Maybe one complaint is that it doesn't have like the graphing interface, which I feel like they could do. However, it does have pretty good graphing capabilities, especially for your function and your numerical solver. So, it is pretty close to a graphing calculator in that like midst. It's just that it doesn't actually show the shape. But if you're an experienced mathematician, you can kind of like predict the shape based on what the numbers you're getting. So overall, I do think that the TI-36X Pro is the best scientific calculator out there. It's super cheap. I definitely think you should buy it. Yeah, I don't really have many complaints about this. It's just awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Signing off. I'll see you guys later in another video.